Texas on the sweltering carpet of Austin. We knew Texas could move the ball and score points. We had little doubt Colorado could do the same. More than 100 degrees in that carpet down in Austin. 7-3 Buffaloes in the second quarter. Shea Moran's to LaVelle Pinckney. He's the weapon with Mike Adams out. 9-yard touchdown, Horns by a field goal. But then Rashaan Salaam got loose. Big holes all afternoon long thanks to that Buffalo front line. And Rashaan Salaam just carved up the Longhorns. 59-yard run down to the 6th. Set up a Herschel Troutman touchdown run. Buffs by 11 at halftime. Third quarter, John Mackovic gets hammered right here. His team was in trouble, and Coach Mack, boom, his own guys take him out. It's not nice. Then Moran's to Pinckney one more time. They got the two-point conversion, tied the game at 21. Buffs led by a field goal in the fourth quarter. Once again, Herschel Troutman, they like this guy. They compare him to Eric Bieniemy. He's a freshman out of Florida. His third touchdown run of the game, Buffs by 10. But this time, it was a team coming back on Colorado. Texas wouldn't quit. Moran's to Aaron Jackson. Terrible play by the safety there. A 67-yard touchdown. The Colorado lead cut to 3. Texas would tie it at 31. Closing minutes, Colorado driving for a game-winning field goal. It's Salaam on 3rd and 9, converting on the swing pass. 4 seconds left. McCartney said he's aged 10 years in the last 7 days. Neil Voskerichian, who transferred from Hawaii to Pasadena City College, to Saddleback College, to Colorado. A lot of transfer and to kick a very short game-winning field goal. Rashaan Salaam, 35 carries, 317 yards, second best total in school history. Colorado has 606 yards. Despite the win, Cordell Stewart says he's disappointed.
Well, the performance, I think it was okay, but it wasn't the way Colorado could have performed. I mean, we turned the ball over. We got these guys into the offense and into the game. I'm happy for the victory, like I said, but I'm not happy for the way we performed today.
A lot of people think Colorado's lucky because they win at the buzzer and all that. They're not. They just play hard. They play 60 minutes.
Quarterback comparison, Stewart knows he wasn't sharp. 119 yards, no touchdowns. Moran's a good ball game. 270 yards, 3 touchdowns. By the way, Michael Westbrook had only 1 catch today. Wyoming and Nebraska. Tommy Frazier out indefinitely. And Brooke Behringer running the offense for Nebraska. Wyoming got out to the fast start. Jerry Dombeck, Marcus Harris on the slant. Nebraska's going to see a lot of this play. They have trouble stopping it. 7-0 Pokes. Osborne wondering when his team would get going. They started sluggishly on offense, Craig.
Down 21-14, Brooke Behringer. We complained about him not being able to run the option. Defense gives him the run. He keeps it. Big deceptive runner. It made it 21-all.
He looked great on the option against Wyoming. The keeper again, 10-yard run. Nebraska had a 35-21 lead. But it was 35-24 when John Gustin in for the injured Dombeck. They convert the two-point conversion after this touchdown. It's 35-22. They're back in the ballgame, but this mistake here killed them. The fumble by Johnson, Nebraska recovers, and they punched it in right there and escape with a 42-32 victory. Lawrence Phillips, 27 carries, 168 yards, and 3 rushing touchdowns. Behringer, his first career start.
The thing he did today, Chris and coach, is that he gained the confidence of his teammates. He helped his offense win a game when his defense could not stop Wyoming.
Number 1 team in the AP poll, Florida, taking on Ole Miss. Spurrier's offense not wasting any time. Terry Dean lays one up for the former walk-on. Chris Doering beats Fred Thomas to the ball. What happened here, Lee?
Chris, the reason this play is going to work is because quarterback Terry Dean sees 9 men in the front. He changes the play to a post route to Chris Doering, as you said. Now, here's a point that's very interesting. Doering is 6'4" on the top of your left of your picture against a 5'10" corner. Good scouting by Florida. Mismatch.
And the backs picked up the blitz very well as well. Dean in trouble though later on. 14-7 Gator lead, and he just lays it out there. Fred Thomas steps in front, off and running. Good downfield blocking. And Thomas is going to take it the distance. An 83-yard interception return. Ole Miss can make a lot of quarterbacks look bad. The dive into the end zone ties the game at 14-0. But there would be no upset in Oxford. Dean hooks up with Jack Jackson. their second touchdown of the day, and the Gators win it going away 38-14. They still have not allowed a point in the second half this season. Dean, 292 yards, 4 touchdowns and 3 picks, and Jack Jackson, the hero.
Jack Jackson has averaged over 15 yards per catch before today. Today, 20 yards. Now he has 7 touchdowns. He's the leading clutch receiver for the Gators.
The Gators have carved up Tennessee. The Vols trying to reverse a disappointing start against the Palouse Posse of Washington State. Vols down 6-0. They couldn't get much going in the conventional ground game. It took kind of a gadget play. Nilo Sylvan on the reverse from Peyton Manning. 62 yards for the touch. The first time Washington State had given up a touchdown this season. Tennessee up 9-6.
Here's the guts of the game. Philip Fulmer goes for it. 4th and inches early in the 4th quarter to zone 45. Peyton Manning just gets it on that same drive. It continues on. They get the field goal to make it 10-9.
Washington State had a chance. Would they try to run a Hail Mary? 4 seconds to go from their own 33. Now they try to throw it short instead and get a lateral going, but the receiver falls down and time runs out, and Washington State loses for the first time 10-9. 6 sacks against Chad Davis by that volunteer defense. Washington State, which led the nation in sacks per game, did not have a sack. Stanford and Notre Dame in South Bend. Bill Walsh looking for a second consecutive win in South Bend. Cardinal led 3-0 in the first, but Ron Paulus was sharp today. Charles Stafford wide open, 7-3 Irish. It was 17-3 in the third quarter. Paulus knows how to execute the play fakes. For a freshman, does all the little things well. And Mike Miller gets open deep, pulls it in. 47-yard touchdown. Paulus threw for 3 touchdowns on the day. He was 11 of 14 for 166 as the Irish rolled to 4-1. Stanford dropping to 1-2-1. Stenstrom threw for 360 and 2 touchdowns, but the difference was the play in the third quarter. The Irish had the first 24 points in the second half. Stanford could do nothing offensively, a grand total of 46 yards in that third quarter. Virginia Tech and Syracuse in the Dome. Frank Beamer trailing 14-12 in the third quarter, but the freshman, Ken Oxidine, they call him the Diesel, 62 yards down the sideline. The Cuse kind of lost him right there. The 2-point conversion was good, and Virginia Tech trying to win another game on the road, led by 6. But the Cuse, as they've done a couple times this year, rallying in the fourth quarter off the option. Kirby Dardar turns the corner, uses the speed, his 3rd touchdown of the game. The Orange led 21-20. Then Maurice DeShazo, a chance to be hero in the big game. Has plenty of time. Not a good throw, picked off by Bryce Bevel. DeShazo can't come up with a big play, and Syracuse then ices it. Malcolm Thomas breaks a tackle. He's gone. Thomas and Dardar both rushed for over 100 yards. It's the first time since 1980 the Orange had 2 100-yard rushers, and Syracuse is 4-1. A lot to talk about on an eventful 1st of October. Beano Cook will join us now. Beano, Colorado, they survived 10 penalties, a lot of turnovers, and a second straight miraculous victory.
Yeah, on the road. You have to give Colorado credit for playing these tough non-conference games. They don't have to do it, but they do it. They deserve to be ranked in the top 4 in the country. They still have to go to Nebraska later in the year, but right now they can celebrate a little.
Beano, a couple of quarterback ideas for you here. Number 1, I'll stay at that Colorado game. Their secondary down the road, they've got to face Chad May October the 22nd. He was the All-Big 8 quarterback last season. He will take advantage of Colorado's secondary. Notre Dame ball game. Ron Paulus, didn't hear much about him today. 11 of 14, 3 touchdown passes as a result of the good ground game of the Irish. Number 3, Brooke Behringer. He won. He took his team to victory whenever everybody was wondering whether or not he could do it.
He did it, but the Huskers surrendered 32 points. How do you see the number 1 situation now?
Well, Chris, the way I see it like this is Wyoming got beat last week by Utah. Yeah, that's right, Utah by 34 points. They got beat by Nebraska by 10 today. I think that Nebraska score will vault Florida into the number 1 position in both polls Sunday.
Yeah, Florida, a lot of people thought they might have a little trouble in Oxford. Now they come home for 5 consecutive games at the Swamp, where Spurrier's only lost 1 game. That was to Florida State. LSU, Auburn, Georgia, that game being played in Gainesville because it was moved from Jacksonville. Next year they'll play the game in Athens, but that is a great homestand. And then Vandy, a game they figured to have a pretty easy time with. finally, that game at Florida State, November 26th, major national championship implications in opener. And over the years, the Wolverines play very, very well in Big Ten openers. They had won 12 in a row. This time they visit Iowa City. Gary Moeller still mad about the heartbreaker, but he one of his guys talking about it all week. Michigan led by 6 in the third quarter. Tim Biakabatuka breaking tacklers. Guys losing their helmets. He's into the end zone right there. Tom Knight's the guy that lost the chin strap. Hawkeyes rallying in the fourth quarter. Michigan blitzing. Ryan Driscoll tries to escape. Breaks a tackle. Gets in 22-14 Michigan. Another nail-biter from Moeller and company. No, they put it away on the ground. This is what they couldn't do against Colorado last week. Shoe clock with the running game when they had the lead. 29-14 is the final. Collins 13 of 23 for 113 yards. The teammates, the guys on the ground. Biakabatuka brilliant, but Tyrone Wheatley announcing his return with 35 carries, 2 touchdowns, and 182 yards. UCLA and Washington, the Huskies have come on strong since the opening loss to USC. Napoleon Kaufman is just on fire. 4 yards for the touchdown, 27th career rushing touchdown. Huskies by 2 touchdowns. In the third quarter, Kaufman again takes the handoff. Here's the gear that he has and very few other guys have. Just turns the corner on 4 Bruins. Guys have angles on him, but he makes the nice little stop-and-go move right there. It's probably worth another 10 yards. Doesn't quite get into the end zone. Stopped just inside the 1. Didn't matter. The Huskies roll 37-10. The Bruins have lost 3 in a row. Kaufman, 34 carries, a career-high 227 yards. He played the second half with a shoulder bruise. What else do you want out of him? Miami and Rutgers. 3rd and 17 for the Canes. Frank Costa rolls, finds Chris T. Jones, one of the 7 Jones on Miami. 82-yard touchdown. Costa, 2 touchdowns, 2 picks, 264 yards. In the fourth quarter, Miami was leading. Costa to Jonathan Harris. 21 yards, just gets in the end zone. The good strength for a 170-pounder. Miami wins it 24-3, the 67th straight time they beat an unranked opponent. Next week at home against Florida State. ESPN game 7:30 on Saturday night. Wisconsin and Michigan State. Darrell Bevell had a rough day. Nailed by Robert Sherrells after the throw. A partially separated shoulder. He would not return. George Perlis' team, just typical Michigan State, knocking guys around on defense and on special teams. Late in the third quarter, Terrell Fletcher fumbles for the second time of the game. Michigan State recovered, scored on the drive right there to go up 22-10. Less than 3 minutes to go, 4th and 1. Mark Renaud breaks loose, 41-yard touchdown to ice it, 29-10. Big win for Michigan State because they have Michigan next week in the Big House on ESPN. Goulburn, 115 yards and a couple of touchdowns. Purdue and Illinois, the Big Ten, a very balanced conference this year. Illini led by 2, but Corey Rogers, hard-fought 7-yard touchdown. Boilermakers by 6. They got the 2-pointer to go up by 6. 10 seconds to go. Illinois ball. Johnny Johnson. Ken Dilger at the 8 turns the corner. Can he get in? Not quite. Stopped at the 1-yard line. The clock runs out. Illinois always seems to play games like this. They are upset at home by the Boilermakers, who upped the record to 3-1. That one loss was to Notre Dame. Dilger just couldn't get in. Ohio State and Northwestern. 10-9 game Buckeyes. Eddie George, one of his 39 carries for 206 yards. Buckeyes led by 8. Fourth quarter, 51 seconds to go. Tim Hughes, Dave Beasley, the touchdown. Wildcats back within 2. They go for the 2-pointer and the tie. They call the draw, but Dennis Lundy, some congestion there. His own blocker is getting away, and the Buckeyes hold on. 19th straight win over the Wildcats. Again, George, big ball game. Northwestern improved. The Buckeyes not impressive in the afternoon. Penn State actually fell behind Temple for the first time this year. The Nittany Lions trailed. Then they win it comfortably. Kijana Carter examined at a hospital and released a dislocated right thumb. NC State and Georgia Tech at Carter Finley. Carlos King, a couple of touchdowns as the Jackets fall to the pack. Texas Tech and Texas A&M. This was a great ball game. Corey Pullig pulls it out late. 23-17. Tech had a Hail Mary carry him out of the end zone as time ran out. Tech had an interception return for a touchdown and a fake punt to set up another touchdown, so that score a little bit misleading. Tough evening for John Robinson, his 100th game at USC. Rich Brooks trying to win for the first time as far as Oregon's concerned at the Coliseum since 71. Dino Filyaw takes the handoff, 49 yards for the touchdown, gets popped at the end. 10-zip Ducks. Tony Graziani starting for the injured Danny O'Neill, making his first career start. The southpaw to Kristen McLemore for the touchdown. 16-7 Ducks in the third quarter. Rob Johnson hit in an awkward position, hurts his ankle. It's a badly sprained right ankle. Just a disastrous day for USC as Oregon wins in the Coliseum 22-7. First loss in the conference for USC, and the Ducks win their conference opener. Iowa State, Oklahoma. Oh, I don't know. The Stones played in Cyclone Stadium. That was the entertainment in Norman. Cyclones continue with the trouble. Jeff St. Clair rolls left, floats it up for Calvin Branch. They missed the point, though. They still led 6-0 after a quarter. Then James Allen weaves his way. Extra effort. Gets in the end zone. The Sooners ran the wishbone with Terrence Brown. He had a touchdown run. Garrett McGee at one point had 11 straight completions. Cyclone fans, circle October 29. Your chance to win a game. You play Missouri. And North Carolina against SMU. The Ponies actually led in this ball game, but the Tar Heels come back, win it in Dallas, 28-24. Craig, your reaction on late two-point conversion hold in order to get that win. They have so much talent. They should be playing better. And Beano, let's give kudos to Purdue, a nice win over Illinois.
Yeah, but first, Illinois. I don't know why they don't win more. Illinois should win more. They have a losing record in the Big Ten all through those years. They just keep blowing games. They lose to Washington State in Chicago. This year, they thought they would fight for the Big Ten title. As for the Boilermakers, that was a big win, and they are a lot better than they have been in recent years.
Possible bowl team. Michigan State, they really needed a win with Michigan and Ohio State on the schedule and a 1-2 mark coming in.
That was a big win for my friend George Perlis, the coach there. You know, he's got a record of 70, 58-4, but he keeps getting in battles with the administration. And let me tell you something, George, you lose those battles. Now, if he could beat Michigan next week, then maybe he could win a battle with the administration. But I tell you what, it's tough when you're going against those academic people.
I know. Yes, Penn State did beat Temple 48-21 at Franklin Field today. But what you might not know is the Owls scored more points against the Nittany Lions this afternoon than Minnesota and Southern Cal combined in their respective meetings with Penn State. Also, the 323 passing yards by Owls quarterback Henry Burris, the most given up by Penn State's defense this year. It was this pass by Burris to Juan Gaddy on the screen, and Gaddy took it 47 yards in his first game for the Owls. That play setting up the first of Tom Matson's 3 field goals. And for the first time this year, the Nittany Lions actually trailed in a football game. But with the score 6-0 Temple, Kerry Collins to Kyle Brady for the touchdown. This made it 7-6 State. Then it was Collins to Freddie Scott. And Scott had a pretty big day. This one going 26 yards for the 14-6 Nittany Lion advantage as Ron Dickerson saw his early lead slip away. But with the Owls down 21-12, Henry Burris finds P.J. Cook cutting it to a 9-point Penn State lead, 21-12, and Joe Pa getting a little more than he bargained for. State led at 27-12 at the half, but scored 3 times in a 2.5-minute span in the third quarter. Mike Archie, the halfback option to Freddie Scott. Scott with 3 TDs on the day. That made it 41-15. Ron Dickerson's Owls, however, never gave up as Burris went deep, 42 yards to Van Johnson, and Johnson with the great catch. The final 48-21, but the Owls gain a measure of respect today.
We knew they were a good team, and they come out and they were throwing the ball and them short passes and running the draw, and I think they kept us a little off balance, you know, so we had a hard time getting into the flow of the game.
Penn State running back Kijana Carter, by the way, dislocated his thumb, but with the Nittany Lions off next week, he'll have a little more time to heal as they prep for an October 15 trip to Ann Arbor to play Michigan, while the Temple Owls travel to Blacksburg, Virginia to play Virginia Tech. Meanwhile, on the main line, a crucial Yankee Conference matchup for Villanova, and they had plenty to cheer about. The Cats answering the call. Tom Marchese threw 2 touchdown passes and ran for 2 more. They were a 3-yarder, making it 7-0 Nova. Then it was Tom Venezia booting a Villanova school record 51-yard field goal, make it 10-0. With the Cats up 24-zip, Marchese found Brian Finneran for the 44-yard touchdown pass. The end result, you see it there, Villanova beats Richmond 38-6. Other local action today as we check the scoreboard. Princeton victorious, as was Maine over Delaware. 13th ranked Miami gets by.
But I'm not going to rationalize. We were sloppy. We can't play that way. We play that way down the rest of the season. We'll lose 3-4 games. We can't play like that.
For Temple's Ron Dickerson, no consolation. His Owls are the only team to have a lead against Penn State.
they're a little down. We got guys in there crying, and we didn't have them crying after the East Carolina game, but we had about half a dozen guys in there crying and really upset. The thing that probably our guys weren't ready for was the speed of their receivers, and Kerry is for real, and those receivers can run.
A little personal footnote here. There were 38,000 plus at Franklin Field today. When Temple took that 6-0 lead, you could have heard a pin drop.
He likes playing a team like that. Oh, yeah? Second quarter, we're tied at 7. Zaire. Hassan Graham. Look at him lay out. Sweet catch. Zaire 16 of 18 for 171. 3 touchdowns in the first half. Fourth quarter now. Georgia up 28-19. Bama comes back. Barker was awesome. Todrick Malone. He's gone. 49 yards, and the lead is now 2 at 28-26. 2 minutes to go. Same score. Barker. Critical of the Alabama offense. It showed up in this one. Scrambling all the way down to the 38. Jay Barker keeps the drive alive. Moments later, Michael Proctor. 32 yards right down the middle. Bama now up 29-28. Zaire would get another shot. It's 4th and 6. The ball at the Georgia 39. Only down 2. Juan Daniels, and Zaire overthrows him, and it's over. Big comeback for Bama, 29-28. Tied now 5-0. Zaire's great game overshadowed. He has become the SEC's all-time leading passer, passing Shane Matthews. Barker had his best game ever, 396 yards and a touch. And under Stallings, Alabama is 37-0-1 when they put 17 or more on the board. Pac-10, high-flying Huskies hosting the Bruins. Napoleon Hoffman averaged 152 yards on the ground. Takes the handoff 4 yards.
Minifield on a flag. The ball is perfectly thrown. Whoa. Almost misses the handle, but comes up with a big grab.
Tony Minifield with his second big catch of the afternoon. West Virginia now looking for the extra point. This one sails through. It is good. The Mountaineers, 2 for 2 on possessions, take a 13-0 lead with just over 9 minutes to play in our opening quarter. Possibly can have out there. Andy looking deep for Brian Salee, and Harold Kidd was there step for step. Brian Salee, a great receiving threat for this Missouri team. Tigers showing blitz. Johnston rolls, fires, and a great catch by Lovett Purnell. Now they're going to rule it an incomplete pass. Johnston on 3rd down. Sets up. Has Purnell again. Good for a Mountaineer first down. Well, they didn't get it the first time. They went right back to the junior from Seaford, Delaware, and he'll make the reception. His 20th catch of the season. Chad Johnston coming out throwing well. He's now 5 of 8 with a touchdown.
But that time we see 2 tight ends for this West Virginia offense. Obviously, the thinking is to give Johnson more time in the pass protection. Obviously, it is working here this afternoon.
Johnston again looks to put it up. Has Zach Abraham, and he'll pick up 8 yards on the play. Clayton Baker comes up from his halfback spot, sophomore.
Fire against the Alabama defense, but Crimson Tide quarterback Jay Barker stole the show in Alabama's 29-28 win over Georgia. Barker threw for 395 yards and 2 touchdowns, the second best performance ever by an Alabama quarterback. Zaire did throw for 4 touchdowns, but it wasn't enough, as with 1:12 remaining, Michael Proctor's 32-yard field goal made a winner out of the 5-0 Crimson Tide. What a day for Colorado running back Rashaan Salam. 317 yards in his team's 34-31 win over number 11 Texas in Austin. It was the most ever by a back against a Texas team. And like last week, the Buffaloes won the game on the final play. With 1 second remaining, Neil Voskerichian hit a 24-yard field goal to give his team the win. Colorado is now 4-0 after 3 straight wins over top 15 opponents. The Oregon Ducks pinned a surprising 22-7 loss on 19th-ranked Southern Cal. This is Dino Filyaw weaving all over the field on his way to a 49-yard scoring play, despite the big hit at the goal line. What a finish in Champaign. Number 25, Illinois, trailing Purdue by 6 with 10 seconds left and counting. Tight end Ken Dilger hauling in the pass, needing to get to the goal line for the tie, but Purdue's John Jackson stops him at the 1. No timeouts left for Illinois, and that's it. The 3-1 Boilers end a 6-game losing streak to Illinois in thrilling fashion, 22-16. Top-ranked Nebraska held off upset-minded Wyoming 42-32. Quarterback Brooke Behringer, filling in for the injured Tommy Frazier, rushed for 3 scores, as did Lawrence Phillips. 4-0 Florida topped Ole Miss. Terry Dean 4 touchdown passes. Penn State breezed by Temple, but Kajana Carter separated his right thumb and is questionable for the Michigan game in 2 weeks. There's the Colorado win. Tonight it's Oregon State with the number 6 rushing offense in the nation against Arizona's Desert Swarm defense. Notre Dame stopped Stanford. Ron Paulus throws for 3 scores. Michigan topped Iowa. Tyrone Wheatley 182 yards and 2 TDs. Alabama is now 5-0. Syracuse surprised Virginia Tech. 12th-ranked Miami handled Rutgers. Number 13, Ohio State tiptoes out of Evanston, barely. Eddie George rushed for 206 yards. Wisconsin is upset by Michigan State and loses all Big Ten quarterback Darrell Bevel with a shoulder separation. Number 15, Wash State loses a defensive struggle with Tennessee. Number 17, Oklahoma cruised. North Carolina 4 better than SMU. Oregon's win was its first at the Coliseum in 23 years. Number 20, NC State with an ACC win over Georgia Tech. Number 21, Colorado State outlasted New Mexico, and there's the Purdue win. And in boxing, WBC